Good afternoon, everyone. Last week, we held our meeting, which focused on career development. And today, we are continuing with that series, but focusing on the business growth. But this time around, we are looking at how you can maintain the value of your investments. There will be another one that we shall do in the coming days, which will focus basically on the SME sector. So today, we shall spend time to go through our presentation, our slides with you. For those of you who have questions, you can ask directly by joining the Zoom information which was provided. Otherwise, you can also ask questions on our Facebook Live, which is currently streaming. So without much delay, I would like to share my screen so that we will look at what we have for today. Okay. I believe you can all see my slide. So our topic for today is maintaining the value of your wealth. Maintaining the value of your wealth. And this is coming to you from Silverman Financial Literacy Institute. We have done a number of presentations, and therefore most of you knows what we do. Most of you know what we do. And therefore I will skip the introduction page. We talked about our vision, mission, core value, history, and then also our core values, what we do, and the rest. Okay. So, and then for those of you who don't know me, you already know what I do. And if you don't want to know exactly what I do, the presentation shows that I am a finance person, a chartered accountant, and I'm a fellow of ACCA with 2 master's degrees. And then I also specialize in microfinance, consultancy, financial management, and accounting systems setup. I was also recently awarded as the CFO of the year. And therefore, this show also gives you some signal that the one presenting to you carries enormous information that can be shared with you today and onwards. And therefore, relax and then just tune in and listen to us. Okay. So we also have our book publications. I know many of you knows already. We have 4 books that are published. The first one being the 18 Laws of Personal Development. We also have the Permanent Wealth, which is 30 steps to creating a lasting wealth and legacy. And then the Microfinance textbook, a very popular book. Then the Embattled Earth, the spiritual book that is making waves around the globe. Okay, so today, if for those of you who have joined or have read our preamble, that is the introduction of our topic for today. We have written something down since last week. The cowries were used as money in the olden times. It is called Huchui in my language. And this is coming from the Volta region or an Ewe language. And those who have a lot of them are called Huchuito. That's rich person, which means that when you have a lot of Huchui or cowries in the olden days, then you are very rich. However, it became antiquated, or better said, they were replaced with a better medium of exchange. Their usage has been relegated to the religious sagas, legends, and means of traditional divination. Those who amassed them in the past lost values when it was no longer the legal tender for the respective jurisdiction. Look at the money that you use today. How long do you think it will last as money? Will it be replaced with other means of payments in the future? Will you lose value possibly in the next 50, 100, or 200 years when paper money will no longer be means of payments? How do you keep your wealth permanent, irrespective of the legal tender? You see, so this is what we are looking at today. And we want to see how best you can maintain the value of your investment. Or better said, whatever you have today, how do you keep the value intact so that it will not deteriorate as time goes by? This is what we are looking at. And therefore, you are permitted to ask questions, and we can go ahead to give you more information. Okay? Now, this is the outline of our meeting today. Okay? We are going to look at the definitions, and then we also look at the control over personal development, how you can have control over your personal development, and then what is called liquid assets, how you can manage them, non-liquid assets, how you can manage them, and then we will look at the summary. So basically, our discussion will center around this outline today. Okay, so we shall proceed. So these are the key terms that I want us to look at. That is, before we can gain understanding of what we are doing, we need to understand these things carefully. Are we all okay? Okay. So we are going to proceed with this. So what is money? What do we call money? A current medium of exchange in the form of coins and banknotes. Coins and banknotes collectively. It could also mean the assets, property, and resources owned by someone or something. That is, it could be a company, an association, organization, a country, or whatever. And then whatever we use as a medium of exchange. Remember this word, or I mean this collective of words was used in our preamble, a medium of exchange. So money is used as a medium of exchange. That is why cowries in the past were used as a medium of exchange. But for now, they are no longer being used. Now, every country devises a means of medium of exchange. For example, you have the notes, the paper notes, and then you have the coins. Okay, these are the means that they are being used now, or we can also call them the legal tender. Okay. Now let's go to number 2, wealth. What is called wealth? This is the problem with many people, and they say money is wealth. Wealth is money. They use them interchangeably. But let's look at the definition of wealth. An abundance of valuable possessions or money. Wealth is the abundance of valuable financial assets or physical possession which can be converted into a form that can be used for transaction. money is part of wealth. Okay, so if you take wealth, it's a bigger, or let's say it's the big subset, and then money is just within wealth, which means aside money, there are other things that can form part of wealth. Are we getting it? So your building can be your wealth, your jewelry, whatever, gold, things that are stored for future usage will be converted into cash later on, or money later on. So they will form part of your wealth. But money is just part of that wealth. Let's go to number 3. What is an asset or assets? An asset is a resource with economic value that an individual, corporation, or country owns or controls with the expectation that it will provide a future benefit. I like the last 3 words, a future benefit. So anything that you hold which will generate future benefits for you is called an asset. So for example, if you have even your educational qualification, which can even fetch you a job, which can maintain you in a job for the next 10 years, 15 years, whatever, it could also be a form of an asset. But sometimes we don't consider it generally like that. But we are talking about material things, okay? It's a resource, or a resource, if you like, with economic value. Now let's go on, and we are going to break down the assets into various classifications, okay? Then we can have more understanding on what we are trying to say. Financial assets. A financial asset is a liquid asset that gets its value from a contractual right or ownership claim. Cash, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and bank deposits are all examples of financial assets. See, a financial asset is a liquid asset. Okay. But we are going to go ahead to look at what a liquid asset is. So a liquid asset is an asset. An asset is said to be liquid if it is easy to sell or convert into cash without any loss in its value. By definition, banknotes and checking accounts are the most liquid assets. Are we getting it? The banknotes and the checking accounts are the most liquid assets. So for example, if you take your cash that you hold at the hand or in a bank, is the most liquid form, then maybe you can talk about if somebody is owing you, is also another, the next stage. Maybe you have some stocks of goods to sell, is the next stage. The most illiquid or non-liquid part will be physical assets like buildings and things like that, vehicles and the rest. So let's look at non-liquid assets. Assets that cannot be sold or converted into cash easily without a significant loss of investment. Some examples of such assets include houses, cars, land, television, and jewelry. Are we getting it? So if, for example, you have buildings and the rest, it is called what? It's a non-liquid asset. You know, because it will take time for you to be able to sell these kind of assets. You have vehicles, land, other properties, television or jewelry, things like that. It takes time to sell, but it doesn't mean that they are not the best form of asset to hold. So we are going to go to the next stage and we are going to look at what they all mean. Okay, let's look at liabilities, number 5. A liability is something a person or a company owes, usually a sum of money which requires the transfer of future economic benefits. It requires the transfer of what? Future economic benefits. That is, if you are owing somebody or owing something, it means that in the future you will have to pay back. So paying back this amount is the transfer of future economic benefits. Just like we saw in the definition of an asset, which will provide a future benefit. You see, you will receive future benefit in the form of an asset. But in the liability, you are going to transfer your future benefit out because you have to liquidate your payments. Okay. Then let's look at number 6, net worth. Net worth. What do we mean by net worth? Net worth is the value of the assets a person or a corporation owns, minus the liability they owe. Okay. So if you take your assets, then you deduct your liabilities from it. What you get is called net worth. So sometimes we say the net worth of Cristiano Ronaldo, or the net worth of maybe Bill Gates, the net worth of. They are talking about what they have standing in their books if they subtract all liabilities from their assets. Are we getting it? So that is the net worth. And then the area that we also affect the value of your investment, if there is anything like that at all, is inflation. So inflation is what? A general increase in prices and fall in the purchasing value of money. Or you can also say the purchasing power of money. So general rise in prices. You see, this is what is called inflation. And for those of you who are learning some of these terms for the first time, I'm spending time to explain them one by one, so that when we continue the explanation, you'll be able to learn a lot of things from them, so that we will not come back to explain what is money, what is wealth, what is asset, things like that. Okay, so let's proceed. Let's proceed to the next stage of our discussion. The key parts which I mentioned from the outline, or the first part, let me say, is personal development. Personal development. The first point there is what? Invest in yourself. So investment in yourself is the highest paid investment in the world. This is so surprising, but many people don't take it to be so. That is, you must invest in your own training, education, and development. Ensure you attend short courses to upgrade your skills or your existing knowledge. Follow strictly your personal development goals, and don't stay for 5 years without gaining a new knowledge. It's a key thing. We know some people just start work and then they are continuing their job, and then that is the end of it. They work for 5 years, 10 years. They never go back to school or to take any short course or upgrade themselves. If you are doing things like that, it is a disservice to yourself. You need to constantly upgrade yourself, go for further studies, improve your educational qualification, and then enhance your skills in general. This goes a long way. This goes a long way to help you to develop yourself. And it is highly paid, which many people don't consider. They think that once you have built some house or you have some car, it is okay. But your personal development is something that can sustain all those things. If those things are even not there, but you have developed yourself, you can gain all of them back. Okay. So number 2, learn from your leaders and superiors as far as they are worth emulating. Learn from people who are your leaders. Okay. Take time to learn from them. This will also enhance your knowledge base and then increase your awareness of the topical issues in your chosen career or environment. Number 3, enhance your communication and interpersonal skills. This is key, especially for those who are working in offices or those who are superiors in offices. And secondly, people who want to have leadership positions. How you communicate with people, your ability to have communication across various levels, and also with different races. Maybe you are talking about people who are different from your race, where you come from. How do you manage to reach out to all of them so that they can have understanding of what you are explaining? This is very important. Then let your income grow as you age. Last week we talked about this, that there are some people, when they are growing old, their income is also growing smaller. But there are others who, when they are growing old, then their income is increasing. So you can refer to our notes last week. This will help you to be able to get more information from what we learned last week. Then use your resources to finance the education of your children and close relations. It is a key. We know many parents who don't want to take care of their children. They don't want to send them to school, or they don't want to spend too much on their education. They throw them in some poorly resourced schools, thinking that they will get the best out of them. But the advice is that get the best of education for your children as far as you could afford. For the training and development goes a long way to improve the future growth, the future income of those children. It is not necessary to build houses down for your children or to buy cars down for your children if you cannot ensure their education. You are more than likely to have challenges in the future, and then it may affect the growth of the children as well. So some of these things, you can find them in the 18 Laws of Personal Development, which is one of my books. You can get them in Ghana. Just contact us. And also bookshops all over Myanmar, also some in Malawi. And you can also buy directly in Amazon. You can buy from Amazon directly, wherever you are. We also have the Indian edition, so you can get Indian edition from Amazon India or other platforms. Okay, so now we are looking at the liquid assets. Liquid assets. So we have looked at the definition already, so we will not go back to what is liquid assets. But as part of the preamble, the highest paid liquid assets have the greatest risks of failure. It sounds weird, isn't it? The highest paid liquid assets has the greatest risk of failure. Okay, so let's look at what we have written there. The government bonds and treasury bills is the lowest return in the market, yet it is the most secured. This is because they are backed by the government. You see, treasury bills and bonds that are provided by governments, they may not have a very high interest rate, but they are secure. The reason is that it is backed by the government. So the government will definitely honor its pledges. If you go to other highest pay, like highest pay short-term assets, like those promised by the microfinance companies and investment firms and some banks, they are the riskiest. And we all saw what happened in Ghana a few years ago. Some banks and microfinance institutions collapsed and people lost their money because some of the institutions promised high returns, which they were not able to honor. And people followed them, and then I think they fell for them, so to speak. So they fell for those high promises, thinking that they can make money quickly. But it is risky when the interest rates are so high or so juicy, so to speak. So you must be careful when you are getting promises coming to you from institutions and alike, telling you that they pay a very big interest on your investment. We also have Ponzi schemes, not backed by products, also very risky. You know, Ponzi schemes like pyramid schemes and the rest, whereby they promise that if you bring this money, you will get that money, you get that and that sort of thing. However, if you check network marketing, which are backed by products, okay, we have some wellness products, health products, and things like that. And then it's a marketing sort of this. Some of them are very good. You can also invest into them. But if you check, and then these things are not backed by any product, but they're only asking you to come and put money there and introduce 2 friends, 3 friends, and 5 friends, things like that. Then your friends also introduce 5 friends to put money there, whatever, without any product backing it is always dangerous. So let's look at the bank savings and term deposit with high solvency ratios are good. Yeah, I think I didn't explain the high solvency ratio, but you know, every financial institution, depending on the country or whatever, are regulated by the central bank, or maybe they're depending on the regulator in the country. And then they give us some key ratios that they must have as per their balance sheet and things like that. So if the bank has a very good solvency ratio, or maybe even let's say liquidity ratio, you know, then these companies are good to invest into it. It means that the shareholders have already put sufficient money into the business. Therefore, your savings are safe. But if it is not liquid, that is not solvent, and the company has issues, you are more than likely to lose your investment. Okay, so let's look at number 2. Take investment in bonds, shares, or blue chip companies. Okay, we are talking about blue chip companies, the companies that are highly rated by some rating agencies and companies like Fortune 100, FTSE, index companies, and mutual funds. These are also good for long-term investments. That is, if you have some money that you don't need it for now, maybe for the next 5 years, next 10 years, you want to invest it so that it can grow into something large, it is best to buy bonds, shares, and then you can have the benefit. Are we okay? Okay. So let's move to number 3. And then we will see how best we can finish. Excuse me. Yes, so number 3. As a general rule, investment in liquid assets should be guided by your risk appetite and your cash flow needs. So if you don't need that money back soon, invest in bonds and shares. Okay, that's what I explained earlier. If you need the money back within the next 12 months or so, invest in treasury bills or savings products. Then number 4, diversify your investments. The old adage goes that don't put your eggs into one basket. Or sometimes they say don't put all your eggs into one basket. So keep different investment in different sectors. For example, we have the service sector, the productive or the extractive sector or primary sector. Primary sector being the agriculture base, okay? Then we have the production or the extractive, like the mining or factories and the rest. Those are the production or the extractive industry. Then we have the service sector, like the banks, the insurance companies, and those institutions that provide services, okay? Those different sectors. You can choose to invest in different sectors, but you should not invest all your money in the service sector, or you invest all your money in the production or the extractive sector, or you invest all your money in primary sector. Are we getting it? Okay. And in all this, ensure that the return is more than the inflation rate. So, for example, if inflation rate for the country is around 6%, I'm just giving an example, okay? It's around 6%. A return that you get, that is the interest rate that you get from any of these investments, should be more than that 6%. For example, 7, 8, 10%. It should be something that's appreciable, okay? But if it is less than the inflation rate, then in actual fact, you are losing money. You are losing value. That was the part of the preamble that we look at. Are we all okay? Okay. Then let's look at the non-liquid assets. Investment in land and building or real estate constitute the best return for a long duration. Land never depreciates. You see, the value of lands actually never depreciates. If anything at all, they grow. Then the buildings have at least 50 years lifespan. But the building can exist for even 200 years. You know, we see some of the old buildings in the European cities. And even in Africa, some buildings are very, very old, but they maintain them very well. And they are cultural centers or offices and things like that, okay? But normally we look at a minimum of 50 years lifespan for a building. So consider you have a building that you have for rent. You can continue earning from it for at least the next 50 years. Okay. And then what about small business setup, SME? We are going to tackle SME in the coming week, if time will allow. And small businesses do grow to become mega businesses with returns more than 1,000% if it is well managed. Businesses like Guinness, Coca-Cola, Microsoft, Amazon, etc. started very small from the garages. We know about those big time corporations. They started very small, and some of them have been existing for more than 100 years. If you talk about Mercedes-Benz, Guinness, and the rest. And therefore, the returns are so huge. And what about purchase of precious metals? You can also invest in buying gold, diamond, and things like that, and keep it down for future storage so that you can be able to sell them at the appropriate time when things become difficult. So gold proved to be an all-age storage of value. It has bad and good seasons depending on the general economic outlook of the world. But gold and other precious metals like diamond, jade, ruby, etc. are worth investing in. Okay. Then we have innovations, like build up something unique that solves problems. It could be training materials, software, web-based information, applications, and the rest. Those innovations also goes a long way to fetch you future income, which will grow as you also age and the value doesn't depreciate so quickly. And once you continue upgrading it. So these are the things that we have looked at today. And let's look at the summary that we have done. So summary of salient point B, that personal development is the key in ensuring your values don't dwindle. Property development proves to be a long-lasting investment in the non-liquid category. Business setup has its up and down, but quite lucrative when well managed. The shares and bonds are great for liquid investment for a long term. For a short term, treasury bills are the best. So these are the key things that we have learned from our presentations today. And for our services that we provide a mixed mode or online or offline facilitation of financial seminars and workshops for groups, associations, and institutions. We also prepare strategic plan, budgeting, funding, proposal, and business plans. And then we help institutions to source for finance, either for their own usage or for individuals who are looking for funding. And then we also focus on counseling on marriage, stress and depression management. So you can contact us by sending us an email. That's the email below the silverman2016@gmail.com. Or you can send us WhatsApp or Viber at +95 9767 942 587. You can also visit our website, secretsilverman.com, or also check our Amazon page to see the books that we have in play on display that you can order directly from Amazon wherever you are. So this is the end of today's presentation, and then we will be happy to listen to your comments and answer them appropriately. Thank you very much for being with us today, and we are happy to join you today. And likewise, you also spend time to go through the video, which is already running on Amazon, running on Facebook, and visit our website. Visit also our Amazon page. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you. Bye-bye.